Hey guys, it's Elizabeth from Plant Based Bride, and today I'm talking about the difference between plant-based and vegan. So on my Q&A 2 video, which I'll link below for those of you who haven't seen it, the lovely Simply Chloe commented saying, I feel like people don't understand the difference between plant-based and vegan. And she's 100% right. And I replied to her comment and kind of thought that was the end of that. But it kept coming back to me. I kept thinking about how really people don't know the difference between plant-based and vegan. And there's a bit of an aspect of this that I feel guilty for, because my blog is called Plant-Based Bride, not Vegan Bride. But I am vegan. So how does that work? What's the real difference between the two, and can you be both? So what does vegan mean? I personally love the Vegan Society's definition of veganism, so that's the one that I use, and it's what I base my veganism on, and this is how they define it. Veganism is a way of living that seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation and cruelty to animals used for food, clothing, or any other purpose. I absolutely love that definition. It really does signify the full scope of veganism. It's not about not eating eggs and dairy and meat and honey, although that's part of it. It's also about not purchasing leather. It's about not going to zoos. It's about living your life in a way that promotes nonviolence and compassion towards all living beings. And that's how I see veganism, and that's what veganism means to me as a vegan. Now, plant-based is about food. So plant-based is about eating a diet that is based on plants. As simple as that sounds, that's what it means. That's what it's about. And when you think about it, a lot of vegans are also plant-based. I am personally. I try to eat a whole foods plant-based diet, meaning that the majority of the food I eat are whole plant foods in as close to their natural form as possible, whether they be raw or cooked. But you can also be plant-based and not be vegan. You can even eat an entirely vegan diet, but not follow any of the other lifestyle components of veganism. So possibly you eat a vegan diet, but you go to zoos and you buy leather and you wear makeup that's not cruelty-free, and all of the other aspects of veganism that also come into play. But because you eat an entirely vegan diet, and presumably it is therefore based on plants, since that's what we vegans eat, in that case you would be plant-based. As I spoke to in my Q&A video, I wouldn't consider someone who eats a vegan diet but is not part of any of the other aspects of veganism, the lifestyle aspects, a vegan, unless, and this is a big unless that is their ultimate goal. Because it's one thing to eat a vegan diet and not care about all of the other things, and it's a very different thing to eat a vegan diet and be either ignorant to the other aspects of veganism, those lifestyle aspects, the clothing and the makeup and the personal care products and everything else that's involved, or to be on a step of your journey or a part of your transition where you're not ready to do the lifestyle factors yet, but you do aim to be there someday. To me, those things indicate a vegan. Maybe you're not fully vegan yet. You're new, you're still transitioning. Not all aspects of your life maybe fully align with veganism yet, but I would still consider that person a vegan. But if you only care about the diet and you're aware of the lifestyle factors, but they don't bother you or they don't interest you, that's when I would call someone plant-based. It's about the diet for them, it's about the food, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. While I personally am vegan and I think that the lifestyle factors have a big impact on our environment, on our health, and on the animals, I still think it's great when someone decides to eat a vegan diet regardless of their reasons. And if someone is eating a plant-based diet but it never plans on going cruelty-free with their makeup, I still think they're doing a much better thing for their health, the animals, and the environment than if they just continued living their life eating a standard American diet, along with all of the other lifestyle factors. Now, there is one more aspect of this that I wanted to touch on, and that is that there are people who don't think plant-based means an entirely vegan diet. And I can see where they're coming from because of the way that it's worded. Plant-based seems to indicate that your diet is based on plants, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's exclusively plants. So I do know of people who consider themselves plant-based or promote plant-based diets, and they continue to eat honey, or they eat fish from time to time, or whatever the case may be. And they still consider themselves plant-based because their diet is based on plants. Now, I personally don't consider that plant-based. I think that that person is eating perhaps a very healthy version of a standard American diet, or they're eating a very plant-heavy omnivorous diet, but I wouldn't think of that as plant-based. For me, plant-based means you eat plants and no animal products. But I can understand how other people may see it differently. So just so that you guys know, some people may call themselves plant-based and not eat an entirely vegan diet. And it's not necessarily inaccurate for them to promote themselves as plant-based, because as far as I know, there's no official definition of plant-based out there saying that it can't include any animal products at all in any quantity ever. Now, the last part of this that I really wanted to talk about was why I named my blog Plant-Based Bride when I consider myself a vegan, not just plant-based. And there were a lot of factors going into what I decided to name my blog, and some of them were relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of things, like the fact that I really like alliteration. So I liked Plant-Based Bride. It was 2 B's in a row, and I liked the sound of it. Or the fact that each of those 3 words has 5 letters, and I liked the symmetry of that. The rhythm of the name. There were aspects of it that were that. And I definitely have times when I think about it and I wish that I'd chosen a name that had the word vegan in it rather than plant-based. But with the direction of my blog, I do talk a lot about food, not with recipes or that side of it so much as the nutrition aspect and the health aspect of being a vegan. And I think a lot more people are open to hearing about a plant-based diet when they're coming at it for health or nutrition purposes than they are to talk about a vegan diet. So that was another part of why I chose my name. I wanted it to be more approachable to more people. I wanted people to be open to learning the information without closing off right away because it said vegan on it. And that doesn't change the fact that I 100% identify as a vegan, and I talk about veganism constantly on my blog, and a lot of my blog posts have vegan in the title or talk about or have the word vegan in them multiple times. Vegan is still a big part of my blog, and it's out there for everyone to see. It's not me hiding that I'm a vegan. But I do think people may be more likely to click on a video and watch or check out my blog if they're not immediately turned off by it being called vegan or labeled vegan. And I think that the more people know and the more people get educated on these topics, the better. Of course, there is also the aspect that I do consider myself plant-based. As I said earlier, I eat a whole foods plant-based diet. I eat very little processed food. And on my blog, I talk about whole foods plant-based diets. I don't suggest people go vegan and become a junk food vegan. Not because I wouldn't be happy if someone did, because it's still great for the animals and for the environment to a certain extent, but then you get into all the packaging of the products, and you also get into the fact that while processed vegan food could arguably be called better for your health than animal products, you're still probably not going to feel all that great if all you eat are vegan chips, candies, baked goods, and mock meat and dairy products. And if you don't feel great on a vegan diet, you're more likely to stop being vegan. And none of us want that. So in the hopes of having more people go vegan and stay vegan, I promote a plant-based diet, a whole foods plant-based diet, eating foods the way they're meant to be eaten, the way our bodies recognize them, the perfect fuel for our bodies, and all that good stuff. So I hope I covered this complicated issue in a way that made a little bit of sense. And if you have any thoughts or comments on this topic, I would really love to hear them in the comments below. Please leave them down there. Let's get into a discussion about this. And I'll talk to you guys really soon in my next video. Bye.